Hi, guys, and welcome to another episode of Rob's 3 R's. So, today we have some very exciting news, and I leave it up to Rob to get you through.
Yeah, thanks. Hi, everybody. The three R's, rugby, ranting, raving. I undertook that we'd not necessarily do them in that order,
Yes.
but then things happened. And given that the Springboks start their matches for this year now, I want to talk about rugby. I want to rant and rave. I want to rant about a particular coach and rave about a particular player. So this is the three R's all rolled into one.
Sounds good.
Can I start?
Yeah, definitely.
Right. And I don't say this lightly. Jake White is a World Cup winning coach. But I think it's time for him to move, either retire. He probably should be fired at the Bulls or whatever. He's been doubling up at the Bulls as both director and as head coach. And I might add that the other franchises do, the Stormers do that. Dobson is both. At the Sharks, they have Plumtree as the coach, Neil Powell as the director, but you never see them together. I'm not sure they even speak to each other. So I don't know who Neil Powell's directing, but he's not directing the coach.
Yeah.
So I think that's the first thing. If you put so I'll get to this later. Maybe he moves, but he should certainly be fired as the head coach of the Bulls. There's no question in my mind. Whether they still want to keep him as a director, that's for him to decide. He's there. He's got a budget. And since he's been there, he simply hires the biggest, roughest, tough characters out of Craven Week rugby.
Yeah.
And he packs his team with them. His game plan is no passing, no skills. You get the ball, you try and run over the opposition. You run through them. And you beat them down. And eventually they can't stand on their feet, and then we'll win. No finesse whatsoever. You're relying on brute strength to do it.
Which is actually not what rugby is about. I mean, it's obviously a game
No.
of a lot more skill.
Sure. And then to
analysis.
compound that, yes, there's a lot of big, strong guys brought who grow up
Yes.
in and around Pretoria. And that has been a strength of theirs, but not exclusively. As far as backline goes, he plays Johan Goosen, who's an old injured fly-half, and then Willie Leroux, wonderful guy, 97 test caps, but he's lost all of his speed. He's not interested in taking tackles or making tackles anymore. So both Goosen and Leroux kick the ball away. So, dear Jake, if you don't keep possession in rugby, it's axiomatic. You cannot score a try without having the ball in your hand. Now, if your guys want to run into people rather than pass to somebody else, then you don't keep possession. If you kick the ball away, you might gain territory, but you don't keep possession. So it comes as no surprise to me. They play Leicester in the URC Grand Final, and I said the Bulls haven't got a chance in hell because the Irishmen will tackle. If you run at them, they'll make their tackles. If you die with the ball, you die with the ball. Well, the game was over inside 20 minutes.
Yeah.
The Irish team were tackling like hell. I take my hat off to them. But it's easy. If you know the guy with the ball, he's not going to try to deceive you. He's not going to pass. He's not going to sidestep. He's not going to offload. He's going to run straight at you. Pretty simple. You're tackling. You practice every week against a tackling bag.
Yeah.
You just replicate that. So Leinster completely nullified Jake White's game plan. And then, of course, he's got nothing to fall back on that. So I don't know whether he shouted, screamed, whatever. There's rumors that he swore at people at halftime. But it made no difference. The game
was far gone by that
was
time.
effectively over. So as I said, he occupies those two positions. And I think it's coming up next week. The two most important people on the board that runs the Bulls are Johan Rupert and Patrice Motsepe. I happen to know that Johan Rupert likes Coach White and so on. So I don't believe he'll be fired. I think he'll be relieved of his coaching duties. They'll move him sideways. He'll carry on. He'll carry on as a director. I hope they do that, and I hope they bring in a coach that says, yes, let's use these big, strong guys, but they've got to learn to pass the ball and to keep possession.
Yeah.
That rugby is a running, handling game. That's why the game was started by William Weberis. He picked up the ball and started running with it. No, not kicking it, running with it. So let's hope that Jake can bow out gracefully, if I can put it that way.
Yeah.
Right. So that's my rant. Now we come. Springboks open their international
Season
fixtures list against the Barbarians.
Yes.
Now the Barbarians is, in common terms, a pickup team. They're all high-class players, international players, but they come from many different countries. They get together a week before the test. And you know, if you bring a collection of international rugby players together for a week, the game's on.
Absolutely.
So they'll be enjoying themselves. They'll say, hey, we've heard about all these braais and Castle Lager and so on and so forth. So the Barbarians will not be regarding this as a test match. And it isn't a test match. You're not getting capped. But I've been impressed that both Tony Brown and Dr. Rossi have been saying, we are not the Barbarians. This is not the Barbarians playing against the Barbarians. The Barbarians are playing against the Springboks, who are preparing for a very demanding test series of games this year with a view to 2026 and the next World Cup in 2027.
Yes.
So, make no mistake, the Barbarians, by tradition, will throw the ball around. They will try and pass the ball to the wing. They'll try and run the Springboks off their feet. Good luck to them. Now, against that background, sometime the old expression cometh the hour, cometh the man. Sasha Fynberg Mngomezulu.
I see he's made the team in today's announcement.
Yeah, I was waiting just to see that he was going to be given a run. He's in.
Yes.
Now, I spoke in one of my other podcasts that I've watched the game for nearly 60 years now. I've seen some wonderful fly-halves. The three Welsh fly-halves, I've mentioned them, Cliff Morgan, Barry John, Phil Bennett, outstanding. Dan Carter for the All Blacks, Johnny Wilkinson for England. Those are all very good fly-halves. But in my view, certainly without any doubt whatsoever, Sasha is the finest, the best all-round young fly-half I've ever seen. And I'll go further, what's more, I have every confidence that he's going to fulfill all of that potential. Now, it raises then, what do you do with a young player of exceptional talent? What do you do? And I would urge anybody who's listening, go and read about what Pep Guardiola said when he managed Messi at Barcelona. He said, I didn't manage him, I left him alone. The guy's on a different level. I don't have to tell him, oh no, once you pass the ball, I want you to run and defend.
Yeah. Let his own talent shine.
Pep said, hey, when you get somebody like that it's either he or Ronaldo for being the GOAT as far as soccer is concerned.
Yeah.
So it's not so much treating them with kid gloves, but just recognizing that they are supreme talents. Don't try and inhibit them.
Yeah.
Try and tell them what they should do, what they shouldn't do. Messi could pass, he could score off both feet. You can't say to him, hey, sorry, your right foot's better than your left. Leave your left out. Don't do that. Sasha is like that. In a recent game, he scored 24 points on his own. Now, anybody knows anything about rugby, if one player scores 24 points on his own, then you know. So he can score tries, he can kick penalties, he can kick drop kicks, and he's a wonderful passer of the ball.
Yes.
In both orthodox and an unorthodox manner. And he's fast. So he's the full package.
Yeah. And obviously sufficiently recovered from his injury, rearing to go.
Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I've no doubt that both Dr. Rossi and Tony Brown
Yes.
will be saying to Sasha, okay, this is your first big game. Do not get sucked into the barbarians' style of play. They'll play with reckless abandon.
Yes.
They'll throw the ball around. This is a test match. We want to see whether you can play a genuine test match with all the pressures and things that go with that. Now, so I've no doubt, and I'll say that for the first half, I expect that Sasha will go along. He'll pass the ball. Now, fortunately, Dr. Rossi, they've picked Dialenda and Jesse Creel at centres, and then we've got two wonderful wings in Orense and Cheslin Colby.
Yeah.
So even if Sasha does not try any individualistic stuff in the first half, merely by passing the ball, getting the ball to our wings, I won't even mention with Apalile Fassi potentially coming into the back line. So I can see the Springboks scoring 2 or 3 tries in the first half without Sasha actually trying anything.
Yeah.
And it will be quite clear that our backline is capable, not scoring at will, but if you give either of those two wings space, they've shown that they'll hurt you.
Yeah.
Orense and Cheslin are incredible sidesteppers.
Yeah.
Fassi is probably the fastest fullback in the world. You give those guys space, you can go behind the try line because that's where they're going to put the ball.
Yeah.
So Sasha will be controlled. He'll be under instructions to play conservatively in the first half, and he'll do that. I think come the second half, the Barbarians now are getting tired because they're chasing shadows.
Yeah.
They'll be these little guys. You ask some of the people, how do you mark a Cheslin Colby? Well, it's near impossible. He can sidestep. There's the classic one. He can sidestep in a telephone booth. So you can't pin him down. So he and Orense will score tries and so on. And I think therefore that's going to enable Sasha in the second half, regardless of what the instructions are, to say, hey, there's opportunities here. They think I'm just a passer. And if they all start drifting sideways, he'll say, all I've got to do, I can drive a truck through this gap here. And so I think we'll see a full range of Sasha's talents in the second half. And I think he's going to be dazzling. It's like somebody giving you a huge, flawless diamond. What do you do with it? You polish it. You don't cut it.
Yeah.
You just polish it. So you do what Guardiola did to Messi. Allow it to blossom. Give it space. Give it freedom.
You just polish it and let it shine through.
Let it shine through. So I'm making that confident prediction. Going further, I'm telling you how I think the game will unfold.
So you're calling it for us?
I'm calling it that I think it'll be a runaway score by the time it's finished.
Yeah. Because,
as I said, in the second half, once Sasha realizes, hey, there are openings all over the place.
Yeah.
These guys are so hell for benting trying to cover our wings that, as I said, you can drive through them. Now.
But what makes you so sure?
Well, in my first podcast, I think I gave due credit to my mother for her Welsh stubbornness and so on. When it comes to being observant, when looking at different sports closely, not just reading about them, not just looking at the scoreboard, and so on. So in rugby, why was that try scored, and so on and so forth. Now, I was very fortunate. My father came to this country in 1936 to establish greyhound racing. In 1948, that was abolished, so he went into boxing. So I grew up at ringside.
Okay. And is this one of your pictures with your dad at ringside?
At ringside, yeah. Maybe if you can just hold that up.
Hold this up. This is Rob Haswell here.
With a little, that's not a wig I'm wearing.
And this is his dad.
So my dad would sit me at ringside. At the end of the round, he'd say, how do you score that? I'd say, what do you mean? He said, well, tell me how many punches did this person land? How many did that? So I had to become almost a computer. You're counting. So you're watching with intent.
Yeah.
He would take me to 5-day cricket matches and say, hey, you watch every ball.
Yeah.
And you know how boring it can be over 5 days.
Especially on a test match, eh?
And I remember vividly one day we were playing the MCC at the Wanderers. Hugh Tayfield was bowling those dibbly-dob off breaks of his from one end. Trevor Goddard, left hand, on or about the outside the off stump on the other end. England were just playing for a draw.
Yeah.
And I was falling asleep.
Yeah.
And he said, he bumped me, he said, Robert, stop sleeping and watch every ball, I told you. And I said, there's nothing happening. He said, watch. Sure enough, a couple of balls later, he jabbed. He said, did you see that? I said, yes. One of Tayfield's balls bounced. He said, that shows there's a crack in this wicket. By tomorrow, he'll be unplayable. He'll bowl this English team out tomorrow.
Sure.
The wicket's cracking up.
Yeah.
He said, that's what a test match wicket does. Goes 2-3 days and then it suddenly starts wearing. And if you watch it, and he said, Tayfield's accurate enough, he'll know exactly where that crack is and he'll put the ball on that crack 3 or 4 times in each over. And we bowled out England before lunch the next day.
Yeah.
So I realized that was important. On another occasion, he took me to the Germiston City Hall to watch an amateur boxing tournament. And I thought, what the heck? I should be out partying. What am I doing?
Yeah.
And I watched a tall, skinny young boy, Gerry Coetzee,
Okay.
who won the Transvaal amateur title.
Yeah.
And it was about the time when I started writing for The Witness. And I said, I will write because I've seen Gerry Coetzee will be the first South African to win a world heavyweight title.
So you had called it then?
I called it.
Is this your article that we were looking at?
Yeah, don't worry about that. There's too many. But there's Gerry later, unfortunately passed away. It took him a lot longer than I thought, but he won a world heavyweight title. I was also lucky enough that one of my sons was in the same class as Jonty Rhodes at both Merchiston and college. And I started writing about cricket and saying, Jonty will revolutionize fielding. That there's never been someone who's so quick on the field. And of course, and of course, bring it more up to date. Everyone looked at me, thought I'd lost my marbles when I confidently predicted that the Boks would win the World Cup in Japan. And then Paris, I was so confident that the family, we all, half of the family flew to Paris. We didn't even have tickets for the final. We had tickets and people said, this is crazy. You're spending all that money. What happens if we don't get into the final? I said, it's not going to happen.
We're definitely there.
And I said, why? I said, well, we've got 2 packs of forwards.
Yeah.
And if you can show me another country that has 2 packs of forwards, one for the first half and one for the second half, then I'll talk to you. But if they don't, then whether it's by 1 point or 10 points, doesn't matter. In rugby, it's an incredible advantage to have a so-called bomb squad. And of course, it was 1 pointers, a little bit too close for comfort, but So it came to pass. So I'm used to sticking my neck out. I guess it's in my nature. But as I said, I grew up in a boxing environment where you're either right or very wrong. In boxing, you can't say, well, this is going to be a good contest. Anybody, either of these two could win it. That's rubbish.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to say on the basis of 1, 2, 3, 4, styles, strength, whatever, so-and-so is going to be a winner.
Yeah.
And so on. So let me end on that note. If I have egg on my face, so be it. But I'm saying the Barbarians are not playing against other Barbarians. They're playing against the Springboks. The Springboks are preparing and regarding this as a test match. So the first half will be close. I'll go further. I think both of our wings will score tries. I think Fassi will score tries. I don't know how much more you want me to say. So there's 3 guys. I think each of them will score a try in the first half. Come the second half, I think Sasha will be like the conductor of an orchestra. He'll stand there, what should I do? Should I kick it? Should I run with it? Should I pass it? What should I do? And I think he'll be mesmerizing. So get the bride going, put the beers on ice. It's going to be an incredible second half.
Yes, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, so there you have it, guys. Rob's called it. It's going to be the Springboks against the Barbarians. And, of course, we are going to win. And why not? I mean, this day in history, 1995, Rob, shall I remind you what happened?
No, you don't have to.
It was our own Maritzburg College's Joel Stransky that...
Kicked the winning drop.
Yep.
In extra time, yeah.
At the first ever World Cup held here, and that's the one that we won. So, yep, it's going to be a fabulous international season for our Boks, and we're behind the boys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.